cool? Welcome back to the RV Shenanigans Podcast, brought to you by Liquified.
I'm Lauren, this is Ryan, and together we are Millers in Motion. We sold our ranch in Texas and now enjoy a new season of mini adventures in our Alliance Valor RV.
I like how at the end of that, it always is season or adventures, or it slightly changes. So
I keep you on your toes like that, depending on how I'm feeling for the day.
Gotcha. Welcome back. We are excited to talk about what we are about to talk about. But before we do, if you haven't done this yet, I'm going to ask a big favor right up front. We are really trying to grow the podcast on podcast platforms because, after all, this is an audio podcast. And I was talking through Messenger with Rodney, who bought the Paradigm with the IS and all that back in Tampa.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't watch it because I was talking about the changeover. And he's like, I listened to it. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
So do us a favor. A big help on those podcast platforms would be if you could go in and rate and review. The rating is great. The review is better. And that's just, write a little sentence or two, that kind of thing.
You can just say hi. Anything helps.
You can just say hi. We are putting back a lot of effort into the podcast coming up. In fact, as a spoiler, if you do watch these on YouTube, our little podcast is graduating.
It's all grown up.
So if you don't understand analytics, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but
thank you.
I'll bore Lauren. She'll be asleep over there. The podcast and the videos are actually kind of hurting each other. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have an RV Shenanigans Podcast specific channel very, very soon. We're doing the backlog right now. The current podcasts are not going anywhere.
Nope.
They'll still stay on the main channel, but anything new going forward and all those old ones will be on the other channel as well. So just know that will be coming. So if you follow us on socials, you'll start to see that probably in the next few weeks at some point. So before we dive too deep into our topic, we are going to take a quick little break and chat with our sponsors. What's the worst part about RVing? It's the black tank. No one likes to have to deal with a stinky or messy black tank. Let the team over at Liquified RV Black Tank Management help you out. Created from the team over at Matt's RV Reviews, this is a 100% biodegradable product made right here in the good old US of A. Liquified will help break down your black tank waste as well as help with those odors. In addition to helping with those odors, it's got an actually really great orange smell to it. So not only does it help break down those odors, it also helps freshen the bathroom. One of my favorite features is actually this easy measure pour spout. Because it's designed this way, you don't have to bring in other cups or measuring devices of any kind. Dump what you need in for your size tank, put the cap back on, and you're done. To learn more about Liquified RV Black Tank Treatment, you can visit liquifiedrv.com. Do us a favor, please support the brands that support us because they enable us to be able to bring you the podcast and the regular videos. To purchase Liquified Black Tank Treatment, please see the link down below. And once again, a big thanks to Matt. Good night. A big thanks to Matt over at Liquified and Matt's RV Reviews. Also, they have a lot of fun new products that are coming out, and we're hoping that we are going to get to connect with them soon and talk about some of those other things. So,
Woohoo.
Before we do any of that, though, I'm not a fan of walking 15 feet to the mailbox.
That is the truth, y'all. I would walk a mile just to not have to start the truck and park the truck and repark the truck. This man, no, not so much. Plus, I can see the RV park office from here, and he will drive down there to pick up Amazon packages.
Okay, in all fairness, some of those Amazon packages are big, like your trailer jack.
I'm just saying.
Okay. So what we're going to be talking about today is kind of other modes of transportation when you're RVing. Now, quite frankly, this is the easy side first. You have a truck or a tow vehicle.
Right.
Or if you have a small enough motorhome or van, that. So obviously, when we RV, and when I say we, I mean all of us, not just Lauren and I, you show up with us, we're really big. And like our friends Phil and Stacy, they're reasonably big. But some people roll up in a van like Karen and Nate or Chris and Sarah. And so they could just kind of take that. And that's perfectly fine. They fit in normal parking spots, kind of. I mean, no worse than I do in my dually.
Right.
And so that is always an option. Now,
I referred a while back, in fact, on our YouTube video we did on our e-bikes, which we'll get to. I said we have a mid-range problem.
And that's true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do have that mid-range problem. Like we can go long distances and we can go really short distances because we have these things on the bottom of our legs.
Oh, I thought you forgot about those.
Don't like them. We can do that. But it is an option. And so the mid-range problem would be like if you have to go a quarter mile or a half mile to go pick up a box.
Right.
And you don't want to fire up your truck, or maybe you are in a van or something else that doesn't have the mobility that you wish it had, kind of a situation.
Or like some of these RV parks, they're huge nowadays.
Right.
And so what if you need to run up to the office for something, pick up a package, make a purchase of some sort?
Right. And then on top of that, or if you just want to go to the pool or any of the other amenities, in addition to that, you also have getting out and exploring in a shorter area, because sometimes you can RV in an area, like when we were at Camp Fimfo, if we were a little closer into Green, it'd be really nice to just ride the bikes down into Green. Now that was a little too far. I was miles away, which is different. But but you could, if it was close enough, kind of go explore that little area. Or like in Lukenbach, if you were going to boondock in Lukenbach, you could bust those out and go ride around and see it and see more quickly. So sometimes it's not even about distance, it's also about quickness.
Right. And some of these paths, maybe you can't take a vehicle on in order to get kind of where you want to get, that sort of thing. And so, there are really a variety of reasons where you may need a variety of transportations.
And there are a ton of them. And so how we're going to kind of break this down is we're going to go through it more in the terms of like what types of transportation you can do and get there, and then what you can do and see with that transportation.
And this is like drumming up other ideas for you guys, how to explore different areas you're in so that you don't feel so limited sometimes.
Well, and if you notice, there's always that, whether it's the podcast, the main YouTube videos are always a little more travel-centered anyway, like as far as like go to a destination, experience destination, that kind of stuff. The podcast, we dive in a little bit more to RV life and what works and what doesn't work and that kind of stuff, and allows us to unpack or undo those layers, if you may. And so, there'll always be that call back to the whole point of this is to get out and explore.
Right.
Or make it easier so that you can go out and explore later or whatever. So, so let's start off with the most common. Just walk. It's the cheapest.
It's the cheapest. You don't have to have like extra equipment, expensive equipment, that sort of thing. And for most terrains, you can get by for a distance with your good old feet.
Right. And that's obviously going to be subject to whoever you are. And I joke about not wanting to walk. I actually enjoy hiking.
He actually does. I'm giving him a hard time, really.
I'm harder on myself. No, I don't mind it. It's one of those things that I like walking with a purpose. I don't like walking to go pick up a package. I know that's a purpose, but that's different because you don't really know how heavy the box is going to be, what all the Amazon ferry, Santa Amazon has brought us. And so sometimes it's the back is the portion. Like we take a walk every night with the dogs, most nights, weather pending.
And I think it's close to a mile, but for reference, I'm the person who would run a 5K on vacation for fun. And
I like
so
how you
just
said,
understand that that's my perspective.
I like how you said you would run a 5K. She's done that and surprised me. Like we were day 3 of the ship. She's like, oh, by the way, we can do a 5K. Actually, I think it went more like, oh, by the way, we're doing a 5K. Not, do you want to? It was more of a surprise. We're waking up early on vacation to go run.
It was, I signed you up for this. Don't you want to go do it?
And I said yes.
And we've been together for 20 years.
I said yes twice. So when you get into walking, what does that mean you can go do? Obviously, if you're like in a state park or a national park camping, we don't fit. You can go hiking. So that's one thing. So obviously with like those types of parks, state parks are going to be a little smaller typically. So that's a little more relevant to walk to a trailhead from your campground, assuming there's not a trailhead in your campground, which is, there are normally something close by.
And I think you can get some pretty incredible vistas on hikes and walks like that.
Yep. And then obviously you have the other side of that is if you happen to be in a area like right outside that area, we'll use Lukenbach again as an example because you can boondock there overnight as long as you visit their website and pay the fee. But that's like a just go out of the parking lot, walk around, that kind of a thing. And so it's not too big of an area, or if you happen to be camping in a, what do they call them here? Town centers?
Yeah.
Or in that kind of a ballpark. And so obviously walking is multifaceted, and you can go as far as you feel like you can go. Just remember, you got to go back.
And I feel like sometimes you may meet more people if you're out walking than if you're moving faster on, something.
I don't know. The next thing we're going to talk about, people stopped us a lot.
All right, go for it.
So if you do want to go a little bit further, or maybe you want to go on a trail that's longer that you can't hike and they're allowed, obviously you get into bikes. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this with a double because I'm starting with regular good old bicycles, no motor attached, but obviously there are e-bikes out there. So we're going to start with regulars.
Right.
If you haven't noticed, we're working our way up the ladder here.
Okay.
So with a bike, obviously you will be able to go a little further, a little quicker, and see more things. So
but you're still going to have to use your feet and your legs to, maneuver.
You are, and so you're still going to get exercise, or you have to be able to have some physical activity. So if you can't walk a mile, the biking thing may be a little easier, but again, depending on what that encounters. So again, this is going to be one of those where if you'd walk to go explore something, you just make that bubble a little bigger now. By using the bikes.
But you add a layer of complexity too. Whenever you get somewhere, if you need to leave the bike to go into a building, well, there's a security issue there, and you have to have a place to store it when you're traveling with your RV. You
do, and a lot of RVs will have hitches on the back, and I say that in terms of most drivables all do. Now in towable land, they have that. That is actually what it's meant for. They don't put those on there with the intent of what's called tandem towing, which is where you put another, like a boat or a small trailer or another vehicle behind your fifth wheel. We don't. Most toy haulers that have a back awning, or not awning.
Patio.
It does have an awning, but a back patio or a ramp door don't have those because they don't want you to accidentally, they don't want you to put one on and then be inside and go, I'm putting down my awning today. Clunk, or my patio. Still a patio. And then you hit your bikes and destroy your door and all of the things. So most toy haulers don't have them. We don't have one back there, but our Solitude did. And so with that opens up, there's a storage solution for you. Obviously, if you have a receiver hitch on your truck too, you could just move it over there. So if you wanted to go somewhere and take the truck, you could do that as well.
I've seen people put it on the front of their trucks too, like where the
for
front
fifth wheel towers,
would go.
Or like toy haulers, that's a pretty... It's not common, but you do see it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I can't get past the looks of that. It's a little funky. It's like a weird Rudolph situation.
To each their own, buddy.
Also, for me, it's a visual thing. I just can't see over.
He'd be distracted looking at those bikes going down the road. I'd be like, hey,
why is the wheel turning? Why is the wheel turning?
Don't forget we're towing an RV. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Oops, a semi. So, yeah, it's bikes are great.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you level that up one notch, you enter e-bikes. Now, full disclosure, we recently got e-bikes through Electric, so we're very appreciative they did send those to us. We are not being paid to talk about them in any way. Now, if you happen to be in the market for an e-bike and you purchase an e-bike through our link, which will be down in the description, also you can find that under the Our Partners section of our website, along with a whole list of other stuff that we can save you some money on. We do get a little bit of I call it a kickback. We do make a little bit of a commission on that, and that does go a long way in helping us stay out on the road and stay making the main videos as well as the podcast, because this whole little shindig's expensive.
And if you want to know why we actually chose Electric and developed a relationship with them, I kind of detailed that in the blog, so that's on the website too. There were a lot of factors that went into that decision. It wasn't just we wanted an e-bike, period. There were measures we wanted to meet, and they met them, and we really enjoy working with them.
They did. And so when you start talking about an e-bike versus like a regular bike, let's say, is obviously that bubble, we just talked about it, from walking to biking gets bigger. With an e-bike, it gets even bigger because now you don't have to exert as much energy.
But your budget did go up.
Your budget did go up. I mean, a good bicycle will run you about $400 to $600 and more. I know they go up much higher. I'm talking about the Walmart specials that I would actually buy. And then your e-bikes, like Electric is on the cheaper side, and they start around $799 for the XP Lite, and then they go up from there. And they do go up, don't get me wrong.
Right.
They do have a ton of bikes, and most of their lineup lands in that $999 to $1,299 range. There's a couple on the high side, there's a couple on the low side of that. So with that being said, though, that bubble gets bigger. And so whether you have physical limitations, whether you just want to see more things, like I would feel more comfortable busting our Electrics out and running 6 miles down the road.
Right.
Because I know that even if I got tired, I could just go throttle assist. Again, not all e-bikes are the same. We're going to talk specifically about electric because that's what we have.
And experience with.
Not all e-bikes have a throttle only. Sometimes they only have pedal assist. And so you have to pedal a little bit to get the motor to kick in. Ours, you can do either. So, but yeah, you can do a lot of things on the e-bike.
Yeah.
So you can also do, you can also add like storage backs and all those things. Like we have those cargo carrying thingy-majiggers.
And that was really important to me, to not just be able to take myself somewhere, but be able to take something if I needed to.
Right. Well, or pick something up.
Right.
So like we use them a lot to run up and grab Amazon packages back to Santa Amazon. And that's, to me, it's a versatility thing. And even if you're not using whatever mode of transportation we're talking about to get around, you also can use it for exploring, or when I say get around, like picking stuff up, but like around the campground. You're going to go see your neighbor that's in a bigger campground that could be a mile away.
Right.
Fort Wilderness is a great example. Now, full disclosure, apparently the rules just changed, and you're not allowed to have an e-bike in Fort Wilderness anymore.
Everybody say boo.
Yeah, double boo, Disney. Now, with that being said, I do think it was a safety concern. I think kids were like doing all kinds of dumb things on them, and then people were staying up really late. I know that was one of the complaints about that place, was it can get loud in the later evenings with golf carts and all that running around. So they instituted curfews on kids driving golf carts that are, and you're not supposed to if you're not on the insurance to begin with, so you have to be above 16 or 18 depending on the plant. But yeah, it's the idea is that you can go out and do more. And I can tell you, like, we were at a horse show recently for you, and we used our e-bikes. And typically in that horse show, I would get in my truck and drive down, and there's not a lot of parking, and so I'd have to park further away and then walk in, or you have to park in mud. It's a whole level of complexity to bring the truck in sometimes.
Right.
And the e-bikes made that a lot easier. I know that you getting up earlier and running down there, it was actually easier just to pop on the bike and scoot down there.
It was.
You could take a more direct route.
And I could still take all the stuff I wanted. And for reference, in 5 days at a horse show, I put over 20 miles on my e-bike. Think about the number of times I'd have had to start and stop the truck in order to get that same thing. You know, we're running from the RV to the barn to the show arena, all kinds of things. So it was intensely helpful.
And I will say, too, like, what we're talking about, her truck is a regular gas truck. On a diesel truck, starting and stopping it over 3 days to do 20 miles, that actually turning it on and off is like 6 to 8 times a day.
Right.
That's not the best thing in the world for diesel engines. They like to kind of get going and stay going versus stop, start, stop, start, stop, start.
And think about all the trucks that bring in these giant horse trailers. I mean, there's a lot of diesels there.
There are. And so now, with that being said, it was easy for us. I know that half the barn wanted to play with ours. Yeah. Because a lot of the barn uses these little mini, I don't even know what those things are called. I want to say moped. Dirt bikes, thank you. Problem is with those is they're gas powered.
They're loud. They're
loud, which means you shouldn't get them too close to the horses. Didn't stop some people. You know who I'm talking about. There's always that guy. And you have to deal with fuel. Now, we have a toy hauler. That's not that big of a deal for us, but I don't want to bring something in our toy hauler space that has a gas-powered engine of any kind.
Right.
Because if you've ever had a toy hauler or any trailer and put something gas-powered, whether it be a golf cart or a motorcycle or something in there, the likelihood of you keeping a gasoline smell back there is high.
Yep. And this is after you remove the vehicle. That's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. With it being gone. So there's a lot of people that go to great lengths to avoid that. And you can, but you literally have to have no fuel spillage ever. Everything has to be sealed and done, and it's doable, but it's just a whole layer of complexity I don't want.
Right, exactly.
And so having something that stays electric would be great. The e-bike kind of serves that purpose. Plus, if your battery was to die, you just pedal.
That's right. Now, take that with a grain of salt. The ones that we got, the XP 3.0, the tires are smaller and they're kind of wider to give it a little bit of off-road capability. Yeah. And when that battery doesn't function, it's kind of difficult to pedal. It is not your regular street bike to pedal.
It can be, and it does have a shifter on it. I believe that's the big difference in the Lite and the XP is that shifter goes from like a 4-gear to 7-gear.
I thought it was 0 to 7.
Oh, is it 0 to 7?
Yeah.
There you go. And even I'm learning stuff. I looked at XP Lite and went, I'm not Lite. No. So I just bypassed right to the XP. But yeah, and I think for us, the other big thing is the storage of the bikes.
Right.
And this is where not all e-bikes are kind of the same. Ours fold in half. We're able to store them in a bin. So we have a Home Depot brand HDX 38 gallon, in case you're curious, bin. We fold them in half. They fit right in there. That kind of keeps them upright and compact and not falling over. And we put them in the back of the truck that way.
Yep.
I will still throw a strap over them just so they don't slide around. And then we also store them whenever we're in transit in the toy hauler space that way.
Right, but for somebody with a big SUV, think a Tahoe or Suburban, something of that sort, you could easily put them in the back of there. And so it's very flexible.
I was going to say, we could probably fit 4, maybe 5 bikes in the back of your truck. We could probably definitely fit 6 in mine if I didn't have, here's the kicker, our 5th wheel hitch.
True.
But because of that, I can't fit hardly anything. I can fit a leaf blower. Anyway, so kind of along with e-bikes, I'm going to throw this in here because it's kind of similar, but you're going to have scooters.
Ah, yes. We did actually debate on the scooters because we've had some friends that travel by scooters.
Todd.
Very true.
Almost ran you over on your scooter.
And everybody we've met with a scooter loves it. And so we were kind of skewed by that, but you really have to consider weight capacity for those because some of these children's ones you don't realize that are on the cheaper end of things have this weight capacity of like 120 pounds.
That's my left leg.
That is great for some adults. That is not great for all adults. And if you're not paying attention to that, you could be in a world of hurt.
That's the nicest way she could say, Ryan, no fitty.
I think that you have comrades here, okay?
Comrades?
Comrades. Not everybody is going to fit.
Thanks, Gorbachev.
On the 120-pound weight capacity. I know, it's an average anyways. So that's one thing you did have to watch out for. Second of all, we weren't sure how they would do with some of the terrain, especially at the horse shows. Can they go up and down the hills, through the mud, that sort of thing?
And I think you also get into that, like, depending on what you're talking about, just like e-bikes and everything else, there's ranges of these things, right?
There sure is.
Or regular bikes. Like there's cruiser bikes, there's mountain bikes, there's street bikes, there's racing bikes. It's kind of the same way with scooters. Like if you go on Amazon, you get, what is it, GoTrax makes a little cheap one. There's no shocks on it whatsoever. Yeah. The wheels look like really big rollerblade wheels. And it's fine for running around a campground.
That's right.
It even has a higher weight capacity because it doesn't have to have all those shocks and systems. But that's, if you go off-road with that, I'm pretty sure I would just sink into the ground immediately, even if it was dry. And it's probably not going to have the range of the capacity. Then you fast forward to like what Todd had, which I don't know what brand he had, where it's got shocks and dual motors and more robust braking systems. And now it's meant for that kind of stuff. And so our biggest problem with the scooters versus e-bikes, this was the conversation, right? It's not, should we get a scooter and an e-bike? It was scooter or e-bike.
Right.
Because I don't really see the point in having both unless you just have, Todd's StarCraft and all the room in the world to store things. We don't. We don't have the weight capacity to necessarily store a bunch of stuff we don't use, and most RVers don't.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, my biggest issue was the cost.
It was. Once you got enough of the upgrades to make it comparable, you, in a lot of cases, you had actually exceeded the cost of an e-bike.
So, and that happened with me. And I would say if you're a bigger guy or gal,
sure,
but that becomes a factor.
It
like
does.
A scooter that I found that I liked, and I'm not going like high end. I'm not going crappy. I'm going that best bang for the buck in the middle of the road kind of a thing that would support me and would also, I feel like would actually last a decent amount of time. Was about $1,700, $1,700 to $1,800, give or take. And this was a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, I did this research. My electric 3.0 e-bike, now I have the long range, so that's a little bit more expensive because just like anything else, I'm bigger, so the motor's going to work harder, right? If it says it can go 20 miles an hour, not with me on it, it can go 20 miles an hour with like a Lauren on it. And so it's going to go like 16 with me on it. And the battery's going to work harder, all that stuff. Same thing goes for scooters. So I got the long range battery.
Okay.
And you have the standard battery.
Correct.
But then on top of that, we did the comfort seats and did some other things. My e-bike runs for around, I want to say it was like $1,200.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Total. Like everything I did on it, the way it is, was like $1,200.
Yeah, they run specials all the time, and I think you're in the ballpark.
On the average. It might be $100 more, it might be $100 less, depending on that time. Now, with that being said, versus the $1,700 to $1,800 scooter, the bike enables you to go farther because I don't know how long you could stand on one of those scooters.
Right.
And like if you're going to go explore for 10 or 15 miles.
Well, and you have the cargo basket, so you can go pick up stuff and still have both your hands free to drive your bike. Whereas you can't really do that the same way with a scooter.
No.
You'd have to hold it somehow and then still steer.
Between your legs.
I mean, to each their own again.
It's awkward. Got like a big old Amazon box. So the other side of that too is security of it. Like with our e-bikes, so with the Comfort Plus package we got, there's this little, we have locks that are built onto our bike and we just pop them out, throw them around the bike and the pole or whatever we're locking them to, and we lock it. How do you lock a scooter? Oh, I'm serious.
With hopes and dreams.
Yeah, I mean, but that's so like, if you are like, let's say you're at a campground or like a Disney's Fort Wilderness where you're going to ride a scooter or an e-bike up to the front and get on a bus and go to the parks, like I can lock a bike up at the bike rack.
Right.
I'm sure there's a way to do it. It doesn't compute in my head. You have two bars, and so like on a bike, you can run it through the frame and the spokes of the wheel, and it's locked. There you go. Ta-da.
Like you said, I'm sure there is a way. We're just not very familiar with it, and it was just one of those other complex things that we just didn't want to traverse.
So kind of moving on, there are plenty of other modes of transportation. There's one big one, especially in toy hauler, which we're going to talk about in a second. But, you know, we're talking about all these things you can buy. You can do public transit as well.
Absolutely. And we've done that before.
And I say that, throw Uber into that category as well.
For
so
sure.
Like if you're going to go, like where we're at right now, we're outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's say we wanted to go explore or go to dinner or something in downtown Fort Worth. I don't love the idea of taking my dually into a downtown of any kind. Fort Worth is literally the only one I will actually do it willingly, but even then I don't love it.
Yeah, and we're more familiar with it. There's comfort with that.
I'll be honest, Fort Worth was built with the idea of big trucks.
It
and
was.
so there's parking spots that fit us. Downtown Dallas, not so much.
Anarchista, not so much.
Anarchistas, that's a big old no. Key West, I'm guessing, is the same thing. So when you add public transport in it, like if you can get down to Fort Worth itself, and then there's, in Fort Worth at least, there's trains, there's buses, you can rent the little scooters now, and that kind of stuff, where you just download the app and you pay something, you go dunk, and then you can take off to the mile and then leave it wherever you're supposed to leave it. But yeah, there's a ton of different things you can do in that front. And if you happen to be visiting an area, like I know there's some camping right outside of downtown Chicago, Illinois, that's on a train route. So you could actually take, they call it the L train up there. You could take the L train into downtown, do whatever you want to do, bring it back out, and there you go.
Right. And one of my favorite things that we've actually done before was when we were in San Francisco riding the trolleys around.
Oh, yeah.
And so there are really some fun public transportation options and that you do want to experience. And so I think you should still take advantage of those, you know, whenever those things arise. But these are just other options for some of your day-to-day or when those aren't a valid option. Like at Camp Finfo out in New Braunfels, no, there was not a whole lot of public transportation.
Well, and I'll be honest, that's one of those where it's New Braunfels, so you might run into like go to Schlitterbahn or something like that. But those are typically things, because you're going to be there all day, you would drive a vehicle in for.
Exactly.
Now, the campground itself, like where we were the last time, it's been almost 2 years since we were there. But like we were in not the very back, but pretty dang close to the very back.
Yeah.
And then just getting up to the front, like you had to take your truck or rent a golf cart or have a golf cart or have a mode of transportation. We had to take our truck.
Even I didn't want to walk that.
No, I think it was like a 2.5 mile walk one way.
Was it?
Two and a half from our campsite.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Because I remember talking about that one of the last mornings, like, and the amount you go back and forth too.
Right.
We were there for a switch it up huddle. So we did it, and like you go up there for a few hours, you go back to your rig for lunch, you go back up there for a few hours, you go back to clean up for a dinner thing, you go back to up there. And so it's a constant back and forth, which is fine, except for the fact that you're having to drive your truck. And if it gets too crowded, now you're parking far away. Now you're still walking a quarter mile in. And
I'm going to use that to say, think about how many people were at that huddle, right? I mean, hundreds of us were at that huddle. If everybody had taken their truck down for dinner, the parking lot wasn't big enough. And so thank goodness some of these people had their own golf carts or e-bikes or something. Otherwise, there actually wouldn't have been enough room.
The campground did rent golf carts too. So a lot of people did that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like when you're talking about cost versus effectiveness here, like if you are going to use it for campground stuff and you go to these bigger campgrounds, Camp Finfo, at least in the hill country, their version, Fort Wilderness, most Camp Margaritavilles, especially the big one in Auburndale, they have golf cart rentals. So if you're just going to go to those types of places, it might actually be more cost effective to just rent.
For some people, yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're going to like If you're going to go to Disney's Fort Wilderness 3 times a year, it's your only RV trip. You can rent there. You can get off-site rentals that come in, that kind of stuff. So just when you're looking into transportation stuff, it can be one of those situations where sometimes renting is actually the best option because of the cost of it.
That's the first time we brought that up. Good point.
Bingo. In addition to public transit, we are leaving off a couple of, I call them low-lying transportation options.
Oh, yeah?
Mainly because I'm pretty sure I would die on them. The one wheel.
Oh, the one wheel. That was one of those that I think like we saw people use and both of us went, nope.
Todd again. Notice how a lot of this stuff comes back to Todd.
Yeah.
I literally watched him in like, you remember the movie The Mighty Ducks when they're rollerblading? Rollerblading. When they're rollerblading through the mall and they have like the helmet, the wrist guard, the elbow guard and all that. And you're like, that doesn't look good. It looks bad. That's what Todd looked like. No offense, buddy. But you had every safety. I thought you had a catcher's mask on at one point.
He did, but he did a great job too.
You did.
So, but no, they're admit your weaknesses in life, and for me, that's just not going to be one of those things I'm good at. So we just, and again, how do you lock it up?
I think that's one of those things that it's very situational on. Like, a lot of places, I think you can just take that with you. It's so small because they even make, and it's not on our little sheet, so sorry. But they make like skateboards that have motors on them.
Right.
There's a YouTuber named Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
Really, really popular YouTuber. And he used to ride those all around New York City previously.
And I think they even make like backpacks you can carry them in and some different things.
So those are small enough that you start to open up a little bit of a different realm that you can just carry them with you into places.
I'd kind of like to know that if we went somewhere and had like evening adult beverages with friends or something, that we could safely not fall off the mode of transportation getting back home.
And we're back to Uber. just Uber in those scenarios.
I'm just saying, on the day-to-day, the one wheel and I would not get along. So we're not gonna test
Sober
that theory.
Lauren couldn't do the one wheel.
No.
I feel like I could probably get it down after some time. But
Yeah,
at the same
I
time
agree.
too, like I don't
could.
how much time I want to invest into learning how to ride something that'll just eventually kill me.
And our health insurance ain't that great, so let's not test those waters.
So there's the other not so small Easter egg in the room that I still want.
Hold on.
Holding.
While we were talking about skateboards, one wheels.
Oh, rollerblades?
Yes, rollerblades were on the list of consideration. You've got to know we actually did talk about rollerblades. Both of us have roller.
Hang on. Someone talked about rollerblades. Someone just listened and nodded.
Yes, we have both skated and rollerbladed, and we both very quickly agreed rollerblades were not a valid option.
90s kids.
Yeah,
Like
come on.
it's just a stock and standard. It's like 70s kids and like not like regular roller skates, right? Like think roller derby, 4 wheels in 4 corners kind of a thing. In the 90s, that was rollerblades. Most people that listen and watch our stuff are our age or not or above. So hopefully you know what we're talking about. I don't know that Amy knows what a rollerblade is. It's her little sister.
She does. Well,
Does she?
I know she's skated before, but anyways. No.
So yeah, you can rollerblade. Could also try an ice skate there.
You can.
It's one of those, why would you do that? It's in the ballpark of one wheel for me.
Yeah, same. And then again, what do you do with them? You got to take them off. You can't wear them inside places. It just
Now you don't have shoes. What are you doing?
just complex, unnecessary.
So-
All right.
The one that I still very much so want.
Spoiler alert: he wants a cricket. No,
I'm
he
fine with
doesn't.
the little bug crickets. Like, we'll do that. So, a golf cart. What she's referring to in a cricket is if a clown car if you compared a regular car to a clown car, a cricket is that. So, a golf cart to a clown car. I'm messing that up beyond all belief.
Yeah, you are.
A cricket to a golf cart is like a clown car to a regular car.
Do you ever see Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? It's like what would happen if Honey, I Shrunk the golf cart.
To half size. In other words, if you measured the size of my rear end, that's about how wide this thing is. And she thinks we can both fit on it.
No, I said we could get 2,
At that point, buy a regular sized one.
but then we could race them.
I don't want to race them. Mine's going to go slower. That's how I got eliminated for RV Unplugged. Thanks for bringing it up.
But legitimately, we also did want something that we could have 2 of in case we weren't going to the same place at the same time. And
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Take the golf cart. Take the e-bike.
And what? You're going to walk?
No, I'm just not going to go.
Exactly.
So here's the thing with a golf cart is I'll use like a Fort Wilderness as an example. Now you can't use e-bikes at Fort Wilderness, and so it would come in handy there. I do think so when we go to horse shows, and this is the portion that you get, but you don't completely get because you don't do it. I don't stay down where Lauren is because when you're at a horse show, you're there most of the day.
Right.
You go down early. You typically come back for lunch, get off your feet for a little bit, and you'll swing by the rig, but you're down there a lot. I, as you guys know, film and shoot, and I take pictures. And so when I roll down there, like, it's literally just me standing somewhere for 2 hours waiting for something to happen. I'm not doing anything most times.
Can we tie this back to a golf cart?
I can use it as a spot to sit.
There we go.
Well, but and like with the camera gear and all that, like even at this Tyler show, my camera gear is not light. And if you've ever seen us filming in public, you know, like we film most things on a Sony A7 IV with a mic on top, and there's some weight to it. I carry a tripod with me. We have B cams that come with us. I have a backpack that weighs about 25 pounds on a normal day. When I travel, it goes up to about 35 because of my computer. And I have to ride my bike with that down there, so I get extra sweaty. It's one of those situations. Plus, yes, you can move some hay, but you can move a lot of hay with that.
And what happens when I take the golf cart down to the barn in the morning with the hay on it?
I come down with you and bring it back.
And then I have to walk to and from the arena all day?
No, I'll come get you. It's like an Uber service.
Y'all, do you see? We talked about this for years.
So I do think the other side of that too is when you do go to other campgrounds, and I am saying like the FIMFOs, the Fort Wildernesses, and all that of the world, they are handy to have.
They are. I don't disagree with that.
Because then, and I think too, for me, it's also it's something else to kind of go do and have fun with. Like we can go on bike rides, but we can't talk on those bike rides for the most part. Mm-hmm. Some of us have coordination problems. And so talking whilst riding,
I still think you should have compromised and gotten 2 little golf carts, okay, and then we could solve the world's problems.
No, but this is why I don't like that idea. It's the exact same problem of now we're not together.
No, now you get a seat. That was what you wanted, was a seat.
Okay. So in doing that, like being able to turn a stereo on, and at Fort Wilderness they call it looping, and go look at stuff and just drive around and kind of enjoy the night. The dogs could kind of go on it if we could train them to sit still. That has not gone well.
That has not gone well. We have tried that, yeah.
But they could hypothetically go down. So like if it was one of those scenarios where I could take the dogs and we had a way of them both being on the golf cart without running away, without me having to like and drive it.
Aren't you dreaming big?
Well, I'm just saying like they make harnesses and stuff that you can clip them to, that kind of stuff. And so you haven't seen those, have you? Oh yeah, they make dog harnesses for golf carts.
I have this mental image of both of our dogs in a dog harness, and Mishka is attacking it, and she will win. And then poor Bailey is just
time in training,
frightened and melting and like dragging.
I mean, first episode, yeah, that could happen. But again, it's just one of those things. Like it offers another level of versatility.
It does.
And so now, with that being said, too, I do feel like I don't want to tote a golf cart all across the country because there's some scenarios where we do not need it.
Right. And that was something else that we did talk about was, okay, well, once you get somewhere, we always have to take it out of the toy hauler space.
No matter what, if we want to use back there.
Yes, it is the biggest, it's the most cumbersome, and it was the most expensive option. So though legitimately, I know we're giving each other a hard time. And we do see pretty eye to eye on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, we do. And I think you agree at some point we would like to have a golf cart.
Right.
Assuming we still have a toy hauler.
Mm-hmm.
No spoilers there. That is not happening anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, at some point we'll probably end up in another RV. I mean, after 5 to 8 or 10 years, at some point we'll want to upgrade. And so if that's still a toy hauler and we haven't done it yet, we'll still talk about it. But I do think at some point for us in the future, I think the other side of that for us is we need to be able to leave it somewhere.
We do.
When we're not there. And so whether that's a friend's house, a storage unit, something. And to be honest, like that's a lot of money I don't want to spend at the moment, not just on the golf cart, but all the other stuff too. Mm-hmm. And then you do have the added of you typically will need some form of insurance with the golf cart, like a liability thing. A lot of campgrounds will require that. For
minutia.
So, but golf carts definitely on the list. There's some that have like really cool lights and stereos, and they just look fun, and we can make them purple. And
now you understand why the accountant had to say budget says no.
Please visit the electric link. We need money. And any other link. You need stuff for your RV? Go get it. Buy a t-shirt. Join the membership so I can get a golf cart. That's joking.
Wow.
I would just like to pay the bills.
See, I don't think the sympathy train is pulling in there, dear.
Nope. In fact, I'm pretty sure it just left. So, is there anything else you can think of from alternate modes of transportation wherever we are?
Nothing reasonable. And I know the joke will probably be had, Lauren, couldn't you just ride the horses? No. The short answer is no. I tried to put a horse in the toy hauler space. He told me no.
Okay, let me rephrase. She didn't actually try. She did find, when we were looking for our first RV, a modification unit that fit in the back of a toy hauler for horses.
Correct.
Which to me is not only a no, that's a hard, not a chance ever, bleepity beep, bleep, bleep, no.
He says that's where his office is, and he doesn't want to smell horse poo. So we're going to be respectful of that. And we do not triple tow, so we won't be triple towing the horse trailer behind the RV.
Thank you.
So no, the horses are not going, and we cannot ride them there.
No, we can't, because let's be honest, Stella would buck at the first thing that was weird.
I think we have a better chance of the dogs pulling a sled than we do of that happening, which is not out of the realm of possibility.
It should be.
But talk about training. We're going to need some of that.
Hey, Bailey. Okay.
We told you we were going to Alaska. We didn't tell you why.
I don't think our lab would do real well. Like, she barely gets up now for anything. So I just said her name. She's at Lauren's feet, and she didn't budge.
Nope.
Mishka looked at me.
It's nap time.
It is nap time. So hopefully you got something from this.
At least entertainment.
Other than the fact that Lauren and I like to give each other crap.
Every day.
If you have questions about our electric bikes or any other modes of transportation, I do have a lot of history with golf carts.
True.
Being a former golf pro, I've purchased quite a few of them in my day. I think I'm somewhere in the vicinity of about 1,300 at the moment, and that's over like a decade of working in golf. Just know that we buy a lot at one time. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. We also kind of know some of the legality of some of these other things looking into it. So feel free to reach out. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave that in a comment down below. Again, if you are listening to this, or even if you're watching it, do us a favor. If you're watching it, go find it on the podcast platform and give us a follow over there, and then rate and review us. iTunes seems to be our most popular one at the moment. Spotify is not far behind it at second place, and then everybody else below it. So if you're on one of those two, thank you very, very much. And I guess that's going to do it for us this week.
All right.
So we will see you guys next week.